Welcome to my $100,000 stock experiment, year 2, week 18, ending August 16, 2019. This isn't an endorsement to purchase any stocks that I bought, nor an endorsement to purchase stocks in general. I'm on a mission to become a great growth stock investor. I'm learning and growing every week. I'm sharing my stock journey with you. Watch me on my journey, learn from my mistakes, and celebrate my successes. According to the IBD and investors.com, the market is in an uptrend under pressure, which means it's really not an ideal time to be buying stocks. This is the S&P 500 6-month chart, and I drew these blue lines and these purple lines. The blue lines a few months ago and the purple lines a few weeks ago, they're just really marks in the sand of where I wanted this index to be above. This index is below all three of those lines, plus it's below its diagonal red line, which is the 50-day simple moving average. I want to wait for this index to cross above 2912, which is that dotted blue line, and then I'm going to buy one stock, try and get back into the market slowly. And then when it crosses the 50-day, that red diagonal line at number 1, then I'll start buying some more. The VIX, or volatility index, the lower the better on this one. I like it to be below 16 and ideally closer to 12. Right now it closed Friday at 1847. Even though the market conditions said I shouldn't be buying, I did buy 2 stocks and I got stopped out of both of them. I sold 5 different stocks this week, and some of them for larger losses than I wanted. Smith Micro Software, I held this stock for 5 days and I took a 9.6% loss, $960. With these low-cost stocks, every penny makes a difference. So the difference between a 9% loss and an 8% loss can be just a few cents. APPS, I also had a 9% loss on this stock and it has since recovered. I'm going to keep this stock on my watch list and I might want to get back in. Luckin Coffee, this was an IPO stock that I had held before and I took a loss on before, but this time I took a huge loss. Big mistake. I bought before earnings and it had bad earnings. When it opened up after earnings, it was below my floor, and so it never triggered a sell. On Friday, I finally pulled the trigger and sold it for almost a 20% loss. I lost almost $2,000 on this stock. Nova Gold, this was one of my tandem-like stocks. It had a 1-day drop that triggered a sell, and if I would have used the 28 days exponential moving average, it would not have triggered a sell. So maybe my floor was too close on this one. I did take a 3% loss. Parisha, PHR, this was an IPO stock. And again, I may have put my floor too close because it would not have triggered at an 8%. It did trigger at a 0.8% loss. I lost $81 in this stock, and then it did recover by Friday. I sold it on Wednesday. Now I'm going to review my current holdings. This is my current holdings bar chart. Each bar represents 1 week. So Enphase I've owned for 14 weeks. GSX in the pink I've owned for 4 weeks, and the rest of the stocks I've just held for 2 weeks. I review each of the charts and then I rank them in the order of the weakest to strongest. Here's the ranking this week. This isn't the ones that have gone up the most, but the chart patterns that look the strongest. GSX, I rated this as my weakest stock because it is below its 8-day simple moving average, the pink line, but it is above the 13-day simple moving average, the green line. I did leave my floor where it was last week, and if it did trigger at that point, it would still give me a 6% gain in this stock. I've held this for just under 4 weeks and it's up a little over 14%, and I have a second buy in this stock that I've held for 2.5 weeks and it's up 2.6%. IPHI, I did move my floor up to the 28-day exponential moving average, but this stock is still in what I'm calling the danger zone at number 1, where my floor is still below my purchase price. So if this triggers, I'm going to be taking a loss in it. But I did raise it up, so instead of a 7% loss, my floor is now up to a 5% loss. I've held this just under 2 weeks and it's up about 1%. Paycom. I like this chart because the pink line started going up steeper than the green and the blue line. I'm hoping that this stock takes off. I did move my floor up to the 50-day simple moving average, and my potential loss if it sold at that point has been reduced from 5% up to 4%. I've held this stock for just over a week and it's up 0.1%. Ruby. I didn't see a good place to move the floor up, so I left this floor at 8%, so I'm still quite exposed here in that danger zone that if it drops, I would take an 8% loss. I've held this for 1.5 weeks and it's up 2.5%. Paysign. This is another stock that I'm leaving at the 8% floor. I call that area quite congested because the pink line, the green line, the red line, and the blue line are all together. All those simple moving averages are together. And the stock did close above all of them. I've held this stock for 1.5 weeks and it's up 6.3%. Enphase. I still consider this my strongest stock. I do have 3 buys in it. The one I've held the longest, 13 weeks, is up 117%. Amazing. My buy 2 is I've held for just over 6 weeks and it's up 65%. And my buy 3 I've held just under 6 weeks and it's up 60%. I put that arrow and that number 1 pointing to Wednesday, and I put my floor at 1% below the low for that day. I'm keeping a tight rein on this stock because it's sort of going sideways, but I don't want to be, I want to keep most of my gain. So if it drops below that, it will trigger a sell. This chart is showing my dollar value gain for each of the stocks that I own. This is just for the B1s. I sort it by the lowest gain on the top and the largest gain on the bottom. I want to be paying attention to my lowest gains and get rid of my loser stocks, and then the winners should take care of themselves. Paycom is up at the top. I have a $9 gain in that, and IPHI I have an $89 gain in. Down at the bottom, the big winner, Enphase, I have $11,700 gain in that stock. And then I look at the percentage change per week for each of the stocks, again sorting with the lowest value on the top and the highest value on the bottom. IPHI had my lowest gain this week with 0.1%, and then down at the bottom, Paysign had a 5.4%. If I see them going down for a few weeks in a row, I know that they should be triggering a sell based on my sell rules. This is the industry breakdown. I put the numbers on them where I have more than 1 buy. So Enphase I have 3 buys in, and GSX I have 2 buys in. This represents the dollar value of all the buys in each of the stocks that I own. I'm a little disappointed that my benchmark went down this week. I really had no business buying new stocks, and I took quite a bit of a loss on them. So I did go down about $4,000 this week. At the end of week 18, year 2, I have a 40% gain versus the S&P 500 with an 8.7% gain. I also look at where my gains and losses were. So I had losses from new purchases, a devastating almost $3,000 in losses there. My change in the value of stocks that I sold from last week to this week was $1,800. And then my gain from my existing holdings was just over $1,000. At the end of the week, I have $43,917 in cash. And my possible actions are sit tight. I like that one. Or I could buy a new stock. I could do a buy 3 in GSX. Or I could do a buy 2 and buy 3 in all of my stocks except Enphase and GSX. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for my next episode, or better yet, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell if you want an alert when I post a new episode.